In this video, you will learn how to create an AB line graph for behavioral data. In this case, we are doing baseline treatment across two behaviors. You'll see that the data is set up in columns so that baseline is one column and treatment is another. By doing this, we don't have to worry about removing the data path across the phase change lines. So if you have similar data that you need to set up for a graph such as this in the future, you can use a similar setup. So to start, we're going to select all of our labels as well as all of the raw data, including the sessions. We're going to go up to the top and click on Insert. Go over to the line graphs and click on the arrow. We want to select the line with markers that shows that they overlap. So we get our line graph, but as you can tell, there is a lot of formatting that we need to do. Once you get used to doing this formatting, it goes pretty quickly. But I'll show you how to do what we need to do. So the first thing we're going to take out is this diagonal line. It relates to the session data, which we want down in our x-axis, but we don't want this line going across our graph. So click on the line or the data points until you get the little circles highlighting it and hit delete. Then we're going to take out the vertical major grid lines. So by clicking on one of the lines, we get the dots at the end of each of the lines, which means they're selected, and hit delete. I'm also going to delete the chart title because in this one I will use a figure caption. So we click on it until we have it selected with the blue dots in the corners and hit delete. Now the order in which you do these next steps can vary. I'm going to start by this time putting in my axes labels, so those are done. So with the graph selected, so you want the box just around the graph, we can go up to Design, Add Chart Elements, down to Axes Titles, and select each of these so that we can include our titles. Now, whether you're going to call the x-axis session or days depends on the data that was given here. For this one, it's sessions. So I'm going to go down to my text box and select it if it will let me, and type in sessions. I'm going to repeat that for the y-axis. So again, Design, Add Chart Element, Axes Titles, and this time it'll be the primary vertical. At the top of my data, it tells me that it was frequency. So here, I'm going to type in frequency. Now, one problem that I have is that Excel did not automatically realign the graph. So here you can see that my label is overlapping with my y-axis, which we do not want. If you click on the middle of the graph, it will highlight what's called the plot area, which is the inside and the outside of the graph. By hovering over one of the corners, you'll get this double-ended arrow, and if you left click and hold, you can drag the plot area so that you don't have your labels overlapping. The next thing that I need to do is I have a lot of different data paths, And Excel has made baseline for hitting orange and treatment for hitting gray. And you can tell which is which just by looking at the values. So baseline and treatment for hitting are much higher than headbanging. You can also tell by the legend that it's put down here at the bottom. Now the problem is not only that we need all of this black, but we want all of the same behavior to be one data point across baseline and treatment. So I'm going to leave hitting as a circle, which means that all I have to do is change the color of the line and the data point. So to change this data series to black, I'm going to select the first set of data for hitting. And you can see it actually selects both of the orange lines. I'm going to right click and hit Format Data Series. Under the fill and line, the bucket, we have line and we have marker. If you click on line and change this from orange to black, you'll see that it changes all of the previously orange lines to black. Then you click on marker, and there's two. There's fill, which will be the inside of the marker, and border. By clicking on fill, and then again changing this to black, we get the inside of the marker black. The outside is still orange. So we need to go to border and click on black. So that's our first data series. This is also hitting. And you can tell because it selects the column for the data and it says treatment for hitting. So I'm going to leave that one circles as well and go through the same motions. So after I select the data series, it will let me. If you have this open already, you don't need to right click. So I have line, and I'm going to make it black. Marker. I'm going to make the fill black. And go down to border and make that black as well. So that's hitting. My next set of data is for head banging. Because this is different than hitting, I need to make both the yellow and blue data paths a different marker so that they stand for a different behavior. So again, we're going to select our data, and you can go to right click and hit Format Data Series, or if this is already open, you're going to be in the bucket again. The first thing I would suggest doing is changing the marker. So to do that, you go to Marker and Marker Options. Click on Built-in, and if you click on the arrow, you'll see it gives you a variety of options. So I'm going to use the square because I haven't used that yet. And then I can change the color while I'm here as well. So the fill I want to be black, and the border I want to be black. Scroll back up and click on line and change that to black as well. Then we're going to repeat that for these data paths, which are also head banging, following the same steps. So first I suggest that you change your marker. And remember, it needs to be the same marker that you used for baseline head banging. We're going to change the fill to black, the border to black, scroll back up, and change the line to black. Okay, you can close this out. And we're getting there. It looks pretty close to what we need. At this point, there are 3 more things we need. Phase change lines, actually 4. Phase change lines, condition labels, behavior labels, and a figure caption. So I'm going to label my data next so that I don't forget which is which. Again, if you're not sure, you can either look at your legend down here that you're going to delete later, or click on the data path, and in the actual raw data, you'll see that it highlights what it is that you're doing. So the circles are hitting, and I'm going to indicate those by putting a text box and an arrow. So go up to Insert, over to Text, and Text Box. Again, if you've done this, you'll already know the procedure, but roughly where you want your text box, you're going to left click and hold and then drag your mouse to create a text box. Inside, I'm going to tell my reader what this behavior is. So in this case, hitting. Now you'll notice that there is a line around my text box, and we want to get rid of that. So if you select the text box, right click, and go down to Format Shape. Then you'll see that there's line, and we're going to say no line. And that gets rid of the box around it. Now, I need to put condition labels up here, which is going to get kind of messy if I leave hitting here. So I'm actually going to pull this down lower. Then I need to put in an arrow, which is Insert, Shapes, and you want the skinny arrow, not the fat, thick one. And then you go roughly to where you want the end of the arrow without the arrow on it to be. Left click, hold, and drag towards a data point. So we have our arrow, but it's blue. So we need to change it to black. A number of ways you can do this. You can click on the black line up here at the top, or you can go to Shape Outline and click on black. Now, I also need a label for this data. Because this text box is already formatted, I'm just going to go in and copy it and then paste it. And sometimes it doesn't let you paste it right on the graph. But you can left click, hold, and drag it down. So the benefit to doing that is that I didn't need to get rid of the box around it because it's already formatted like that. And then you can just put your cursor inside by clicking and delete this and type in the second behavior. So again, I need an arrow. So I'm going to go to Insert, Shapes, and the arrow. Then I'm going to click down here and drag towards a data point and change it to black. There. Now I also need phase change lines and condition labels. I'm going to do the phase change lines first because then it lets me allow my condition labels or line my condition labels up more easily. So a line is a shape as well. So we're going to go to Insert, shapes, and the line. Now you can start anywhere you want. I usually start either at the bottom or the top of the axes and try to line it up. In this case, I'll line up my crosshairs on the bottom of the axes, left click, hold, and drag it up. Now you want your line to be as straight as possible, and you can always move it after you're done. So if you left click and hold, you can move it using your mouse. What we're aiming for is that the line ends at the top of the y-axis, does not go past the x-axis, and falls in between our data points. So this is good placement, but again, we need it to be black. So again, we can go to Shape Outline and make it black. Now, you can also copy this and paste a new one. And then rather than drawing a new line, you can just left click, hold, and drag this around. It should be the right height until you're in between your data points. So the next thing I'll do is my condition label. So this is baseline. This was treatment, specifically DRA. This was baseline, and oh look, another treatment, but I forgot a condition line. So I can do the same thing where I copy and paste and put my third one in. There we go. So condition labels are just text box. So insert, text, text box. Again, left click and hold, and then drag your mouse over to make your text box. Now this is baseline. So I'm just going to type baseline in. Similar to before, I'm getting a box around my text box, which we don't want. So if you select it and right click, go to Format Shape, and say No Line. Again, I prefer to cut and paste than redraw and retype these. So I'm going to select it. You can use Control-C as the shortcut, or you can right click and go to Copy, and then right click and go to Paste. Then when you select it with these crosshairs with the arrow, you can simply drag it down. I can hit Paste again. And I'll put it in this condition. The only difference is that I'm going to need to change the name because it was not baseline, it was treatment, and it was DRA. And you can adjust the text box if you can't see your text by clicking on these dots to make it bigger or smaller. So there you go. Now I can see treatment DRA. And again, I can copy. This time I'm going to do Control-C and paste, Control-V. Oh, let's try that on the other box. Let's try it here again. Control-C, Control-V, there we go. Now I don't have to type in it again. Remembering that you want to line up your treatment labels near the top of the graph. The last thing we're going to do is get rid of our legend and do a figure caption. So simply click on the legend. Now let's hope my graph doesn't go away. Hit delete. And then back up to insert text box. And again, you're going to click and drag to make a text box and type in what this is. So we'll say figure 1, and this is baseline and treatment data for hitting and headbanging. And that's it. That is our finished graph. It looks pretty good. You'll notice that this incorporates, if you've done some other graphs, It incorporates a lot of the same components. So after you do a number of these, it does become more fluent.